Recording! Here we are. Good morning, good afternoon. It is Pairing with Sam and Ryder. We're going to be looking at some Elixir stuff. Just say, yeah, I am getting excited about Elixir. I would kind of, AgileVentures, we're sort of, I'm really excited about building stuff that actually meets somebody's need. That, rather than just sort of building like a sort of a lotus in a shape in a flower. It's kind of like, and so, there's been sort of people talking about Elixir and getting excited about Elixir, and I'm kind of like, we can get all this stuff done. Do I really want to be kind of distracted maybe with a different language at the same time? And we've been doing the Elixir mobbing and so on, and I'm kind of like, ooh, I mean, and it's partly the functional and it's partly some of the patterns in Elixir, and yeah, I am just starting to get quite excited about it. So and it's like not dissimilar from when I first started working in Ruby and moving away from PHP and Java and stuff. So there we go. Yeah, I mean, I guess is that similar for you, Ryder?
Yes, I share your desire, Sam, to make things that people actually use.
Yes,
and not just these little platonic lotuses or whatever.
Right.
If we form a prog rock band, we can call it Platonic Lotus, by the way.
Yeah, I like that name. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very excited about both the functional aspect, the patterns, like you were saying. I'm really stoked to do more with it. And that's without even getting into the fault tolerance aspect of it, right? These things that have gotten us really excited. Because I'm guessing you haven't done much with supervision trees yet.
No, I don't think so. No, I mean, I hear these things about, the larger scale and so on, and that all sort of sounds great. But for me, it's like, well, that's fantastic, but one shouldn't prematurely optimize.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. But
I have done nothing with it, but I am really excited to dig into it, because that's where I feel like some of the most exciting aspects of Erlang are there for us.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that the exciting thing for me is, I mean, there's all that. What it seems like actually the pathway towards that is in and of itself exciting and valuable. I mean, the thing that's really baking my noodle at the moment is about just. It seems to me, and I wrote a blog about this yesterday or the day before. It seems to me.
Is it okay that I'm eating breakfast?
That's totally fine. I've just had a bagel and I'm working through my tea, and it's live. It's real. This is it's not your average.
It's real breakfast. It's terrible. I got some sugar though. All right.
All the major figures. It seems to me that one could actually write in a much more functional style in Ruby, but
yes.
Clearly we can have all sorts of chats about that. I guess the exciting possibility that we have right now is to get into some Elixir code, and particularly, so you've ported this text adventure into Elixir, and
in the process of porting it.
Right, and which I've been kind of looking at, and yeah, I think it's doing more than I've seen in the Elixir apps that or it's kind of I'm. There's stuff from the Udemy course, other tutorials that I've done, but you're kind of, I think you've got absolutely the right, what's the word, inclination here, which is that at some point you've got to move away from the sort of tutorial toy apps, and you've got to get into, trying to, okay, let's just try and solve some problems in the new environment. And that's where the real learning in some ways, or more learning, more exciting learning. All right, I'll try and calm.
No, this is good. I'm glad you're excited. I'm also excited. This is not the most recent code, I think.
No, okay. So, well, yeah, I mean, maybe if we start, particularly since if you're continuing, what we'll do is maybe I'll start playing around here. What I should do is go and find, here we go. I've got here, so I've got it running there, and I found those things and stuff, and let's get out of there.
Oh my gosh, guys, I just want to briefly say, because it helped me so much, but if you're wondering like how the heck Sam on his prompt has got the branch of the Git repo he's in at the end of his prompt, just reach out to any of us and we can tell you, but it's really handy.
Oh, it's such a lifesaver, isn't it? It's like the dark ages of it when we couldn't tell what branch we were on. Oh my goodness. So here, git pull origin master. Yes. Okay, right. So latest code. Right. Assuming that master is the right branch.
I'm pushing master like a chump.
Oh no, that's. I mean, this is it's there's this whole thing about the development pipeline. Actually, I'm trying to do that with async Voda, but I think that, projects go through these stages, and you start simple, and then as the complexity of the whatever warrants it, then you start to move out. So yeah, and I mean,
I might start doing that now, Sam, since I have you as a contributor. You've made one contribution. Like I might start thinking about branching and doing development that way.
Right, sure, and features and so on. When it's just yourself, it's not a problem. And yeah, I mean, I guess the thing, we could be just sort of reviewing the code. Is there a simple bit of like what in your mind have you got like the next bit of functionality to add, and we could just try and add that and as a
No. I'm actually quite confused at this point in the project.
Oh, really?
Not because anything I've written is so complex, but it's just kind of the point where like I've got a lot of different folders, I've got a lot of different files, and I'm just kind of like, there's a lot of things left to do. I don't really know what comes next. And what I often, when I reach that stage in a project and I don't have another person's eyes to help figure out what I need to do next, I often start prematurely optimizing or polishing like little facets, like little things that I know are going to need to be done at some point, but are not actually breaking off the pieces of functionality that I should be carving through in order to get the MVP out the door.
No, I hear you. That's interesting. I mean, I guess, I mean, I can sort of run. We did this already, couldn't I? That doesn't give me that bad thing. From here, I can start the game from here. I now forget the syntax for starting the gates.
Start game.
Just so like here and there we go. Okay,
yeah. Initialize game kicks back the player in the world struct, and then start game does that plus starts the game loop.
Right. Now what have I done there? I suppose I'm wrong. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so, so we can. Oops.
Oh, right. Because I haven't done. Wait a minute. What?
Well, I just hit N there, and I was thinking that might make it go north, but.
Well, it will at some point, Sam. But there should be an error thing to catch this in interface. So this is a regression. I'm not sure because we should have the most recent code. So this is a regression.
Well, I should maybe I should run the tests first. The tests are all passing for me there.
The tests all pass. So the tests, and this is shameful. That's too strong a word, Sam, right? But
no, totally. This is totally normal. Totally normal.
Well, I know, but I'm embarrassed that all the tests pass and I have obvious problems. And it speaks to and the reason I'm embarrassed about that is because I've been largely doing this process through TDD, which is not something that I have a great deal of experience with, but I have been trying to do that. And so this immediately tells me, okay, my test coverage is inadequate. Although as I'm saying this to you, Sam, I'm also realizing that I kind of made a conscious design decision of I'm not going to test the interface because I don't know how to test that yet.
Right.
This north-south stuff.
Sure.
And I think I have a better idea after presenting this to the local indie Elixir meetup. And I'd love your perspective on it too. But yeah, so this is a known issue. I feel less bad about it now that I've had a chance to.
Well, and I think it's fun. I mean, I think there's this issue about acceptance tests and unit tests and so on. And I've been at various points. I've been a big I love driving from the acceptance tests rather than the unit tests in that kind of outside-in fashion. But I think there's also and it's easy to get into this religious war about outside-in versus inside-out. But I think that they're both valid approaches. And the important thing is not to have the war and try and see what both sides can learn from each other. What I'm immediately interested to do, just to bash my head against it, is to understand the error, because like to just dive into it there. And so we've got no function clause matching, and we've got lib interface x13, and then it's also giving us here. This is kind of, is this here? This is a description. This is dumping some. See, this is reflecting my lack of familiarity with Elixir traces. What it's here, this is not looking like a. I guess there's more of the stack trace there, which actually now I see. This is dumping some set of data out.
I can speak to that. Yes. So it's dumping out what gmylm.interface.controls was called with. So first you have your north with the new line.
Right.
And then you have a player struct being kicked back.
Right.
Sorry, that it's being called with.
Yes.
And then you have the world struct that it's being called with.
Right.
So that's what all this big data dump is that's the whole game world that's being
right. And so right, and that's why we've got a lot of it, because basically the whole state of the game world is being passed in, and so we're seeing, and that's, I mean, that's interesting already, because we've got everything there. I mean, I guess I'm just going to go from the other end of the loop and have a little look at the codes. It's gimlim x26 is where we're starting here. So presumably we came in previously over the start game. It put us into the game loop. We're here in the game loop. And so we've got some things here. And I'm just going to call out bits of syntax that kind of now.
Excellent.
Yeah. So here we've got this. I've seen these the arrows things used in the case statements to refer to different things. Is this? I mean, the use of these things here with. Is this sort of implying that this is the next line of victory nil, and then this is pointing to a function here, or how is this working? What does it mean when we have this arrow here?
Yeah. So think of this as an if statement, and so this blah 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 arrow is like the if statement, and this true blah 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 arrow is like the else statement.
Right. So just for my own, not that we should leave it like this, but in principle. Is this effectively something like this, where we're making this comparison?
So yes, it is exactly that. I don't recollect syntax-wise if a cond tends to have indented stuff under its constituent, conditionals.
Right.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, on line 24 is an if, on line 29 is an else, and then that just needs to be wrapped syntactically in this cond.
Right. And so is. I mean, I'm just, there's no implied, the syntax should be this way. I'm just playing with it to kind of grok it as effectively as I can.
Yeah,
would it almost be something like, is this what we're saying? We're basically going to repeatedly check this, and we're checking for its, and basically, is that right?
No, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
And that reads cleaner to me.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's correct. I've got some other screens here, and I might just bring up some different Elixir documentation so I can refer to that as we're going along. Yeah, I haven't. Here we go. Yes. Yeah, because I've seen the casing things. Looking here in the okay. Yes. Interesting. But yeah, no, all the examples that I'm seeing are indeed. I mean, I don't know if the cond will work like that, but it's kind of
indented.
Say again?
Or sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, some of the ones that I'm seeing, they do seem to have these things indented.
Excellent. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm this funny thing that I did there. I'm not seeing that with the cond examples that I'm just reviewing in the other window. But I'm seeing more of these. I mean, this is sort of interesting to me here. I mean, we're okay, and we've got here. So in fact, here, as we come in the game loop, the victory is an argument, and this is the way that we've said that victory by default is going to be nil, presumably. That's what this is here. Yeah. Exactly. So we're sort of checking for victory being nil in this case, and so this is actually going to evaluate to be true. And then I get this is sort of then the true here implies if this is evaluated false, then we're necessarily going to do this, is what that means, doesn't it?
So we will only get, and this may be exactly what you're saying, right? But we'll only get to 29 if 24 is not hit.
Yep. No, that all makes sense. Yes, and so we basically continue the loop until we finish the game, and so we go in here. So we're basically then, and this is the command prompt where we're the user's incoming data. We are going to process assuming, and so we're blocking on this line naturally. Waiting for input from the user. The user's going to give us something, and it's going to be So the user input, the player, and the world are going to be sent to this process command thing, and presumably from the stack trace, we're going to see 18 yes. So we're then going here into the interface controls and have the input and the player and the world. And now that's interesting there. So presumably this is returning a method that we're then going to actually call is what's happening there.
Exactly right there where you've highlighted.
Yes, yes, yes. And so then interface there, and I might just, can I get like this and have the two of them side by side? So yeah, so we're coming in through here. So interface comes into controls. We've got coming in here, and this is on line 13. Yeah. And so, well, I've just done with the N, which is maybe a shorthand that's not supported. And so what, go on.
It needs to be.
But let's have a look here. So no function calls matching in gym lim interface controls 3. And so we've got here, so yeah, so it's trying to match against each one of these things.
And I can tell you how I broke this also.
Oh, really? Go
on. And probably how to fix it, but you'll see as soon as I tell you how I broke it. So I broke this because I changed the world's implementation. That's the wrong way to put this, but you'll see what I'm saying in a moment. Originally, I had the world was a list of location structs.
Okay.
Right? And now, because I've been working on the event implementation for things that trigger outside of like the player moving around, like some state in the game happens, and based on that, you need to see text. So that's where this idea of an event emerged from. And so then I realized, okay, I need to also pass these events, or this is what I thought anyway. I think I need to pass these events also in the world. I had this world struct, which had been floating around for a while, and I'd always sort of intended to change it over to where a world struct has a locations key, and that locations key has the list of the locations. I finally did make that change last night, Sam, where you have the world struct and you have a locations key with all the locations, and then an events key with all the events.
Right. So the world structure has become more complex. It's now got some other things. It's got the separate events and the locations.
Yeah. So what is this function actually looking for on line 13 for that third argument?
So we've got to see here, indeed here, it's looking for this to be a list of location structs, isn't it? Yeah. And so if now the world no longer matches that,
exactly, or at least a list of which the first element is a location struct.
Yes, you're absolutely right. This is we've got the tail here basically. So yes, it's going to expect the first element to be a location struct and then not care about what the rest of the elements are. Yes.
Yeah. I did explore the idea. Well, I'll stop.
No. Well, I guess what I'm tend to do is go back and looking at this, because what I was finding myself doing was sort of looking around in here and kind of thinking, oh yeah, we've got some mechanism for telling players that they can't do stuff, and my brain. And it's funny how this, I do this all the bootcamp students and everybody is like, stick to the stack trace, but the kind of semantic expectation about what to do drags you away. So I'm kind of, although the stack trace has highlighted that the problem is in line 13, and I'm kind of like, oh no, I'm looking down here and I'm thinking, oh, I wonder why it's not getting to this point. But I mean, as you've explained, that it really is, the issue is in here. And so we can probably go, I can then go, so we've got the player entity down there, and then we've got the world entity here, which includes, so the events, and this is the list of events, and then it's got the list of locations like that.
Exactly.
Fascinating. Yes. Well, and that immediately makes me think so presumably you've got the interface test. At the moment, there
is nothing. I didn't know how to test it. I was like, how do I test this? Am I just going to literally test every piece of the interface? Like if you do north, it calls this function, or what am I going to do?
It seems to me that that particularly if this is returning functions, then the kind of test, and I would then call this sort of, but a unit test of this is just checking that, you know, even like a couple of the accurate ones work. And the key thing I would be looking for would be to see that this one, you know, that we got back this function in the case where there was like a, you know, random string. So it's kind of like a monkey testing sort of thing. The interesting thing there is, of course, in order to test it, we've got to have, you know, we've got to set up objects that look like this, and that gets us all into that mocking area and so on. In principle,
at this point, we can stand that up, Sam, with no problem, because it's a trivial cost to do that.
Right. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, and it seems to me that with particularly given the nature of this matching, a bit like in JavaScript, where although there are mocking frameworks, I mean, you can basically create arbitrary objects at will and have them, you know, match to varying degrees. Yes, interesting. And so
I actually
go on.
stand up. No, I actually stand up way more than I need to as far as the world is concerned in most of my unit tests. And at this point, I don't really care, because it's actually what's going to be used by the actual program, even if that piece of functionality doesn't need it. And it's a trivial performance cost. You know, the whole test suite runs in 0.2, 0.3 seconds, and I don't care.
Yeah. Well, what I'm thinking is, I wonder if we can use this as an opportunity for, I mean, me to show you the kind of the Git sort of flow that I often use, which may be just like trivial. Oh yeah, that's how you do it, or different. But say for example that we weren't pairing, and I'd encountered this issue, and you know, you were asleep and offline or whatever. So what I might have done is I might have come into and I now find Jim Lim GitHub. Sure.
There's apparently a jimlim.sk domain.
Oh, is there? Oh, right. But I think it's. How are you pronouncing this? Are you saying Gmilim or?
Oh, I actually really like your rendering of it.
Is it kind of?
I don't have a verbal shorthand for it, right? There's the orthographical shorthand, but then when I say it, Sam, I always just say, "Give me your lunch money," and I don't have like a shorthand for it.
That's right. Right. Yes. Give me.
I like Jim
Lim. So this is like I'm the problem on.
If you want to learn how to name things, watch Sam.
Watch me. Or
sorry.
Well, name yeah. I've coined a few. I you know, I don't know. The people shouldn't. I think I have to become less. Less is more. That's what I think. But yeah. So what I would be doing here is just grab like this. Interesting. I hate how when I have it on full screen, the scroll going down off the bottom, because it is too low. Silly. Anyway. But so yeah, there's this fun. Basically, if I have the if the screen itself here, like check this out. Like if I've got it like this, I can scroll up and down really fast, like doing the thing like what's there. There's this thing on Mac that basically the speed with which it will select more of the screen is a function of how far you have the cursor below the bottom line of the terminal. So if the terminal has gone all the way to the bottom and you're trying to scroll,
got no room to.
You can't speed it up, and so you're there. And if it's a long stack trace, you're kind of time. There we go. Anyway, so this is just really, it's sort of shell outputs.
That's an interesting case of like UI enhancing, let's say UX enhancing behavior that they haven't solved how to give that to you. And I mean, because you become reliant on it, I would imagine, and then you have this other context where it doesn't work. And
totally.
That's interesting.
Absolutely. So so this is so like if I file a bug report, this is a I'm not sure how to like I would then create like a bug fix branch here.
Yeah.
And I'd go with, and now I'm just struggling with a succinct name for this. Is like I'm gonna just call it basic interface fail.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of a better thing for the moment. And so now what I would do here is try and test, see if I can actually replicate the failure in a test, as an exercise here. So we've got, so we've got this sort of stub of a test, which is north calls player move.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I move the interface element up here, I've made those ever so slight changes in that indenting, which is still not so, it's not so, but anyway. But so presumably,
ultimately that's going to change even more. I think it would be more idiomatic to have actually a different function, one that takes a victory argument and one that doesn't.
Oh, right. Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, that's you know, all to play for there. And so I guess here we've got, if we're using this assert syntax, there's kind of the setup where we're going to be expecting to be calling Gemeilim dot controls.
Yeah.
And then, so if this was one here where we actually called north, so there's kind of north and then the N like that. Mm-hmm. And then in order to kind of make this work, we need to pass it I mean, I guess in principle, it can be an empty player.
Yeah, it can be.
As a first approximation like that. And then,
although the problem, no, it can be an empty player because the empty player does default to a default location. It does have a default location. So yeah.
Right. And
you were probably already realizing that. I'm just realizing. I'm just catching up.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm just guessing. We go. And so we've got this, right, and the world, now by default, if I create a world object, it's going to have these two empty lists inside it, right? If I just do this.
Yeah, they'll be empty.
Yeah. So what I kind of want to do is I want to assert that the thing that this is calling, that whatever comes back from it is a function. And I don't know how to do that in Elixir. So Elixir assert return value is a function. Hey, Michael, how's it going? Right there, you're not getting any audio from you at the moment.
Hello?
Hey, Michael, how you doing? Are you on your iPad?
Yeah, I was saying, what is this?
This is, with a bit of echo, it's Ryder saying hello. We're looking at Ryder's text adventure game, Give Me Your Lunch Money, in Elixir, and we're just looking at, we were just sort of playing with it and found an error, and I was, while Ryder was finishing his breakfast, I'm just seeing if I can wrap that in a bug, see if I can replicate the error to do a bit of moving forward on it. And I'm hearing all about how it works. And I mean, I'm just going to focus on working out how to do this thing here. Ryder, feel free to tell Michael more about the background for this project.
Sure. Hey, Michael, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. So yeah, I can tell you a little bit about this. I'll try not to be too long-winded. Give you like the 30-second version. This is a game that my buddy Daniel Berlin built in 2009 using the Adrift interactive fiction kit. And it's been around for a while. And before I went to the coding boot camp, I went to the Iron Yard. I started doing it in Python. And eventually I circled back around to it. And I was like, well, what do I want to learn right now? I want to learn and work in Elixir. That's the most exciting technology out there for me right now. So I started doing the thing in Elixir. And while I was at it, I thought, hey, I'll learn more about how to do TDD, which I've done almost nothing with. And so that's how this project got started.
Cool, thanks, Ryder. So yeah, I'm just finding in the background here these is things for now. Is method or is function? I'm just checking here. We got a is function. Yeah. There we go. There we go. I think that's what we want here. So we can check is function. Oh, there we go. Returns true if term is a function. There we go. All right. So it seems like we should be able to say something like this even.
I bet that'll work.
And so then we would want to see if we can replicate the failure. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We need to alias that.
Oh yeah. So we need to kind of need to pull the player into this to make it available to this test environment. Is that right?
Actually, Sam, if we're not going to mock stuff, we probably need to alias everything. We need to alias gmylm.world. We need to alias gmylm.world.event. We need to alias gmylm.location. wait a minute. No, we don't, because those are initializing as empty things. The event and the locations key of the world structure are initializing.
Right.
So forget I said that. We just need to alias player.
Right. And so in order to do that, we just do this.
Yeah, that should do it. Said no developer and regretted it ever.
Yeah, and it's changed the error. So it's looking like if
we do need to do the world
we just
also.
need to we need to have those things that we. Okay, yeah, and we have
failing test.
Yes. So interesting. Now, interestingly, the error message is slightly different from the one that we were getting on the console, but it's in the same place. I think. Oh, is it? Or is it? Oh no, actually, the error message is in a slightly different place for some reason that I don't understand.
Yeah, GMYL controls 3 is undefined. I don't get that. Hang on. So this is the interface test. So we should have interface. We don't. I think we need to alias interface. Even though we're in the interface test, I don't think this is Rails.
We're not in Kansas anymore. Federico is, but not us. Anyway, here we go.
Oh, is he?
Federico is actually in Kansas, but there we go. Let's see if that what happens there. It's saying that the gymlim controls 3 is undefined or private.
Oh, we're calling the wrong thing. We need to call gymlim interface.controls.
Do we? Right. Okay. This is okay. Yeah. No. I've yes. Okay. So maybe we will need like that.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't need this then.
Let's see if it fails.
Find it out. It does fail. And okay, yes. Now this is we have been able to replicate the.
Okay, so it did get to it, so we don't need the alias.
We don't need the. I think we need the alias. I suspect we need these. Good.
Yes.
Just double check.
No, we do need those because we were failures before.
Yeah. So what we have there is with the git commit -am test that wraps the failure we saw on the command line.
Sam, have you ever thought about aliasing your git commands?
I have some of them aliased. I have like this one, GST. I don't know with the commit one. I mean, some people have, they have this, that, and the other. I kind of, I don't know. Partly because I jump from. I mean, if I was really organized, I would have like an alias file and I get it spread to all the different machines that I work on. But I'm working on these remote ones, and so I kind of. But if you've got like a good alias file that I can just sort of slap in and maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. You can put it in a Google Doc, and then if you're working on remote machines a lot, you can just create a bash RC and put it in there.
There's also I did spend an hour and a half one time. There's a GitHub project which is all about making it supposedly really easy to share your things all across, and I kind of was and I got stuck on that. But yes, what I need is probably just another kick up the arse, and I'll get there.
It's just a tangent, man. The only reason it occurred to me is because I thought, wow, you could save some keystrokes.
Indeed. Now, so I was trying to push this to here, but it looks like I don't have the permission for that.
Oh, shit.
So
yeah,
I could fork it, or did you want to give me?
No, that's our failing test. Then I do want to give you access. I actually have been thinking about doing that the last few days and just haven't gotten to it yet. It's been a busy couple of days.
Yeah, well, you had your big extra meeting yesterday and stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, we had this Salesforce offsite where all sorts of things happen that I can't talk about, but good, exciting things. But yeah, I think this is common at big corporations, Sam. I don't know because this is the first one that I've worked at.
Oh, really? Okay.
First really massive. I guess I had one sort of kind of big company before, but everything tends to be kind of pretty under wraps so that media can present a unified face and they don't have to worry about their employees giving away any of the secret sauce or.
Totally.
All right. So two contributors. I don't know where I need to go to do this.
I can show you in principle on a different. I mean, I think if you just go to settings and I mean, I'm Tansaku. If I go
Okay,
to,
we go to settings, collaborators. Great.
Yeah, settings, and then collaborators and teams, and then yeah, like you can add a person like here.
Tansaku. What's the origin of the name?
It means deep search in Japanese.
Oh, that's cool. All right. I from my end, it's suggesting that I am awaiting your response. So you might check.
Oh, I might have to. Right, because there's this other. It's interesting. It's interesting that they didn't used to have this. They've got this thing now where, in principle, I have to. Yeah, I have to like accept the invitation. You can't just grab like a really famous developer and suck him into your project these days. They have to like, let's have DHH work on all of our Rails projects. No, apparently he has to actually click yeah. Here we go. Yeah, so that's up and possibly even there.
Awesome.
Will it?
Very happy to have you on the project.
Good to be on the team. Good to be on the team. There we go. And we've got here. Yeah, so I've sort of set up. It's so we've got the report of the error, and we've got a link to the a test that wraps it. So I wonder if we can pong there, and if you want to share your screen, and then if you pull down that branch, then maybe you can fix the make the test pass.
Yeah, let's do that. So let me find the sharing screen bit.
Yeah, so if you mouse over the Hangout there, you think you found it.
Yay! Okay, so I'm in tab hell, as you can see.
I know that.
So have you've likely seen this, but maybe, oh, well, gosh, did I already? Oh, I pulled us into another window. So I inadvertently solved the problem anyway. So I was going to show one tab, but that can be for another day.
No worries. Yeah, I mean, I would just go to the terminal and do git fetch all git fetch, and you should. Or I think this talking about smallest number of keystrokes. I often think the smallest number of git commands is do git fetch and then git checkout to underscore and hit tab, and in principle you'll have.
Yeah. I don't actually have this on. Oh, I see. Okay. All right, so is it the one thing that is, no, I probably don't need to worry about it. Okay, but let me just articulate the inner battle I'm having right now.
Please do.
So I never work on this on my work computer.
Right.
And I work, although I have before, but I pretty much never work on any side project on my work computer.
Sure.
And the reason is that Salesforce, like most companies, and this is very common for the industry, right? But owns everything I do on Salesforce stuff.
Okay.
It's like that Silicon Valley thing. Do you watch Silicon Valley?
I have watched a couple of episodes. Yes, I need to watch more.
Okay. Well, anyway, at one point, this issue comes up over Richard's ownership of Pied Piper because whether he did or not work on it on Hoobly, not Hoobly, that's an actual Hooli.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah, so it's probably fine. There's no reason Salesforce would ever want to own this thing, and that language exists.
Well, the other thing that you could do here, if you are concerned about that, is you could try fixing the bug purely in the GitHub interface, just for give the lawyers some exciting.
I bet they'd have a precedent for that, and they could get me. But let's do that. So we're going over now to this problem on the user interface. We're going over to because we're actually going to try and fix it right now. That's the idea.
Well, you'll want to switch to the branch, right? The
yes. Let's go over to basic interface fail.
Yes.
And we're going to open up interface.
Yes.
And basically,
yeah, you can edit that file there and do the fix. And of course, the other thing is even see, not like in future, for this, we could get like a C9 instance set up with this stuff on. Obviously, that'd take a little while to do.
The other thing I can do is not do this from work and or bring my personal laptop to work. You know, this is just so everybody's clear. I am doing this at work before I start my day. I have not.
That's the beautiful beauty of the time zones. It can be my middle of the day, but it's your very early morning.
Right. So I feel bad about not having said anything about that for people who might be watching. And also, I just like to keep things, the running commentary.
Totally. Yeah,
like, let's make things explicit, right? So
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Right here, we were very likely getting this failure, which was a match failure, that there's no match for what we were getting back, because we changed the list of location structs, which was previously our world variable, to a world struct, which takes a list of locations in the location key and a list of events in the event key. And so it is very possible that if we tell this, instead of looking for a list of elements of which the first is a location struct to a world, we will fix this error. That's very possible.
And interestingly there, it looks like I was going to say, oh, we're going to have to like specify more about it because we're trying to like pull out locations and this and that. But actually, we only refer to we don't need the location within the context of the function, do we? We just need the. So
we do make sure that's looked after in these, right? In all of these, we need to make sure that that's properly referenced.
We need a proper world struct being passed through, but it's interesting because like the syntax that you had originally is kind of it's representing the world as a sort of a composite rather than a struct in its own right. So actually, the fix there is simpler than I had imagined it was going to be. But and you know, actually through fixing it, we've made this more readable code here.
We absolutely have, yes. You don't have to spend the 5 seconds or 15 seconds or however long scratching your head looking at the thing saying, what does that mean?
What thing is that? Yeah, exactly.
Because those things can add up. I mean, it's quicker for you every time, but it's still like, and I don't know, this is sort of maybe a design discussion, right? But it's this trivial amount of cognitive load. And then especially if you're talking about a project where you have a lot of people working on it.
Totally.
That amount to get the initial grokkage, right? That's a cost. And if everybody is incurring that cost, right? And then also if you have this death by 1,000 cuts thing where there are all these trivial costs to comprehension, which are all running and all adding up and all kind of impinging on people's capacity to reason about the code, it can add up very quickly.
Totally. Yeah, so I think we've got the solution there. And I think if you just save that there, I can pull it down and we can check it against the tests.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
All right. So I can then come back to here and do git pull origin to like that. And that's it there. And then we do mix. Ooh. No, that's the wrong thing. Now what have I done? Compilation.
We need to alias world. No, we called it wrong. It's gmylm.world. I think. No, we do need to alias it because it's looking for world, but it needs to be calling.
I think we've got gymlim world. It worked all right with maybe within. You mean within the interface itself? Yeah, because you've got your interfacing gymlim world location. Do you want to make that other change on your side?
Sure. Let's see here. So let's go back into the editor, and we just need to alias. Whoops. Alias.
Can we even remove the front of the previous one?
This one?
We don't need. Yeah, maybe we don't need. Yeah, well, yeah, we could remove that.
We likely don't. But if we make that change that we just made, I'd prefer we modify it if that doesn't work for some strange reason outside of the clunky web interface.
Sure.
So gymlim player, gymlim world, gymlim interface. Does that look good to you?
That looks pretty good to me.
Cool. All right. So this is a fun discussion. We can have that sometime. So let's see. Commit changes. Okay, I think that should be ready for you.
Oh yeah. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. Bean.
Hey!
All right. Good stuff. Yeah. There we go. And so, yeah, this now should consist of, that's the problem there. This is the pull request. The pull request, that's interesting. Well, I've clicked on I've clicked on the specific commit, which I didn't quite want to. Oh, we don't have a pull request at the moment. We have a branch from which we can now create a new pull request. There we go.
Immediately merge because
indeed fix for this fail. And but yeah, we've also got a nice. So this is the kind of GitHub Pong thing that I love. We've got there. You know, we've done different sides of the coin. I don't know if you're familiar with these different pairing strategies. We've got actually. Let me go into here. I've got a. Where's it gone? Oh yeah, protocols. There we go. Yeah, there's these different ping pong pairing styles. About so like we conceivably like I wrote the test and it failed, and then we swapped to you and you made it work, and we kind of there was another thing, and then now in principle you would write the next test, and then we sort of swap backwards and forwards, alternating between who writes the test and who makes the code pass and so on.
Yeah, I've not actually done that kind of pair programming before, although I'm familiar with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then there's all these other different styles and things, and there's some great. Recommend Sam Livingston's Gray's talk on that and some of the different styles and so on. So, but yeah, so presumably what I can do back here now is I can do this, and I can now. Oh no, I don't.
Yeah, you got it.
That, and then here, yeah, start game. And presumably it will say, yeah, okay.
Yay!
Yay! Good stuff. All right. Yeah, that's. I mean, that's the thing that I love about doing these things and sort of is you find something that's kind of like a bit sort of thing, but then like take care of rather than leaping off into we're going to refactor it for this platonic cow or whatever it's going to be. Is like Go on, Michael.
Hello?
Hello.
I was saying this is like a late 70s, early 80s text adventure game.
Yes,
yes.
Exactly.
Basically.
It's exactly what it is. Yes. And did you have was this a game that you were involved in the original development, or you just like happened to like Ryder? What was the?
I liked this game very much, Sam, and I composed the original soundtrack for it because every text adventure game should have a soundtrack.
Totally. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yes, and now that I'm here, and there's look, and presumably if I could go up or down, it would tell me in.
Yes, like, it would.
It's like another direction, and then so my options are movements but I guess look at the moment just repeats whatever the world is. So at the moment within the world, what I'm able to do is I'm able to navigate around and reprint out whatever I can see. That's the
That's all you
can do. Implied there, that's where we are.
Yeah.
What other things could you do in the original game?
Yeah, you could pick up and drop objects. Okay. You can assemble objects into traps.
Really?
You can set up those traps. You can do lots of little silly things like dance. I do a little dance. I mean, there's lots of sort of things like that. But basically, the core gameplay is you're going around the world, interacting with objects, assembling objects into traps, and these are the traps that you at the beginning of the game, and this is within the first few minutes of gameplay, so I don't feel it's that big a spoiler. But if you want to play the game and you don't want anything ruined, cover your ears for the next 30 seconds. At the game, there is an altercation with these bullies at school, and they you challenge them to a showdown the next day, so you are going around building traps for this showdown.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, spoilers over.
All right, all right. Yes, I was just sort of adding that to the README in terms of, so these would be, and I guess you what you're referring to before, like adding the you're setting it up so that you can add events. That was the next feature that you were working on.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike. I'm just asking Ryder a question, but yeah, he said yes. Go on, Michael. What were you going to say?
I said right now in the code, is there like a clean separation between the engine and the game specific content or the game specific scripts, or just is it all kind of commingled?
At the moment, there seem to be these YAML things that have separate that out. I mean, Ryder, is that I think you've got quite a strong data functionality separation, I think.
Yeah, it's maybe there are ways in which it could be better separated, but they're fairly separate. I mean, and maybe not. Maybe they're ideally separated. I really don't know. But yeah, I've got YAML files which hold all the world data, and then the game functionality itself is elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. Cool. No, that seems good. Yeah, and I'm seeing. So you've got all of the object data. There's an extent, and there are obviously objects. So there's kind of, when we arrive at these locations, the location has a description of itself, presumably, and then there are objects that can be in it. And if presumably, whether it happens now or not, the idea is, of course, that you come to an area, you read the description of it, and then anything that was in that area that would also be described as being there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's that's fine. Effectively, yes.
Yeah, and then there's hidden objects and special things that appear and jump and this, that, and other. Yes, good show. Yeah, well, we've kind of come up on sort of the hour, and I'm starting to think about lunch. It would be interesting to think about. I mean, so there was a couple of other changes there, which are, I may just sort of put in as like minor refactoring. There was a sort of an indenting there that just helped me understand the initial game loop, and then there's these changes here that hopefully that's not too much of a spoiler. So obviously, so what I might just do there is if I drop out of that, and here I can like check out. No, it's master there, and so then I would just get up. Minus B. Then it's almost, I guess it's almost silly here if it's a sort of a place to put it, and we've got. Do I really need an issue? Oh, I'll just call it minor refactoring, and push it up there, and you can.
The purpose of making that issue before, since it was a 10 character fix, Sam, was you were demonstrating to me your flow. Yeah,
that's right. This is
not that I object to opening issues and having that as kind of visible documentation of the life cycle of the project. That's great too. Absolutely. So if you want to make it, by all means,
yeah, I'll just pull up this one as like this is a minor there, just so that code's available. I mean, I could push it straight into master, but it's there's, I mean, the bigger picture and what we might talk about now is going forward is like the next step. I mean, you were saying at the beginning that kind of what often happens to you at this stage in a project is that you end up sort of polishing minor things. This is updated
because I don't know what to do next. Yeah,
indentations. I mean, from my point of view here, like I would be kind of okay. What are the key steps to making it into a playable game? And it sounds like here, like you've started on the events thing, and so allowing an event to happen like after a certain number of time steps, that's kind of a key thing. It seems like not that I know the original game, I mean the key thing will be to get the functionalities in so that you could get to the victory state, right, independently of anything else that one does. That would make it, I guess without the victory state, it becomes sort of like a little playable art form. I mean, there was this funny game where you could just like walk around it was an old woman walking around in a cemetery, and occasionally she'd sit down and sing on a bench.
You're raising the discussion of what's the MVP.
Right. Yeah. And is there, does that, I mean, I guess yeah. So in some ways, then I mean, if this would be, it sounds like the little dance is maybe optional. I don't know if that actually is the thing that's required to defeat the bullies, but it sounds like this would be the set of things that would be required to get to the playable game. Is that right?
When you say, you mean to finish the game?
To allow somebody playing it to win it.
Right. And that's what you mean by get to the playable game as opposed to the playable art form.
Right.
Yeah. You do need all those things. Yeah. Okay. What I was concerned that maybe you were saying was just like have a victory condition, like you walk to this room and you win. And that's not MVP to me. MVP.
No.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
that would be more to do with like if we were trying to write a kind of a story engine where people could write an arbitrary game. And I mean, of course, to the extent that we've got this separation, then you've got a framework that allows somebody to take the framework and write a potentially different game. But that
Which I'd like
to me, right, which is interesting thing of itself. Yeah, but I wasn't saying just make some arbitrary victory condition. I mean, that might be useful as a test, possibly, of it working. But still, even before that, it's kind of like, the sort of allowing the player to move things around. That feels like that's like if you have the event and then there's basically an ability to manipulate the environment, and assembling things as traps almost could be a byproduct of just putting them down together in the same area in the first instance. And then there's just basically some sequence of things that you can do that if you do it, then you get to that, final state, and the bullies are all like, "No, you're awesome, we love you, like you're a great, cool." No Freudian stuff kind of appearing there from the whole. Anyway, we're not computer programmer nerds, are we? Yes, cool. Yeah, this is definitely a nice playground going for. So, for example, the events now, are they kind of ready to happen? What else needs to be added to the event stuff? I guess you've kind of got the events, but at the moment, no events will happen.
Right. And when you ask if they're ready to happen, I guess I'm just going to assume a face value definition of that, which may or may not be fair. But so for them to happen, we need these two pieces, right? So down on 41 and 42, we need something that's going to display the text, and then we need something that's going to run the associated code if it exists. We do need. Well, actually, this is a question, right? Do we then, from line 43, do we jump back into the game loop, or do we do that outside of this in that game loop, right? So are we writing a third game loop definition where we pass it an event, which gets run as the third argument? Because we're not passing victory. If we're making that other change we talked about earlier, where instead of passing a victory as nil to everything, we just have one where you take a victory and one where you don't. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I would be assuming that the consequence of running this event should really be being kind of appended to the. I mean, what this interface render output, haven't we? Right, and so at the moment that's go on, Michael. You trying to say something, Michael?
Hello.
Yeah, your audio is extraordinarily faint. Go on.
So you don't have like a buffer to the terminal or something? You just write directly to the terminal every time you want something out?
I think so.
Yeah, it's just
I was going to say,
doing,
like, from my
doing IO puts here.
Okay.
You can see it here.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, there's the rendering. I guess it's interesting here because like it could be that the event. I guess at the moment, like the world can have events. At the moment, the loop is kind of quite tight in that, for example, the player will. Let's go back to the game system here. Is that we process the command.
Yeah.
And that command. I guess we get a new world there.
A whole.
And then rendering the output at this point in the interface. So look at that. So rendering because the render output Am I missing something here? Because the render output here doesn't take any methods.
Oh no, you're not missing something. I've got a superfluous return in that render output.
Okay.
Like I don't need to be kicking back anything. It can just be side effects.
Oh, so is this just creating a new line then in this one? Oh, I missed because of my silly thing here. There's a kind of we're pipe. Oh, okay, sorry. So no, we're doing this. We're pipe. I just missed the pipe symbol. That was it.
Yeah, but then the render output is not getting piped anywhere. So this is kicking
No.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. The pipe. So basically, it's the input which we're not using. The new player and the new world become available here, and in fact, this thing where it says this. That's interesting because well, I guess we've got a pipe. So what I'm just struggling with here is, and this is from my Elixir, we're doing this, and the output of this,
Yes.
which I would assume corresponds to this tuple, but maybe not. That tuple is being injected into the render output.
No, you're right. We do need the. Yeah. Yep.
Is that right? But then when I look at this render output, I'll just move this out of the way. Okay, there's two, right, and then we're distinguishing. This is like, so first of all, we're going here.
Michael was going to cut in with something in a second.
Yes, Michael. What's up?
I was going to say he's calling. It looks like he's calling 30, which doesn't display.
Yeah. No, that's what I was just seeing. Yeah, we've got this thing like we have in Java. The number of although the interesting thing, it's doing even more so than Java. It's doing a match here on. Both of them they have a single argument, which is a tuple, but one is a 3-place tuple, and the other one is a 4-place tuple. So because this is a 3-place tuple, this comes in here. So we get our new player and our new world. There's no move status is ignored here. So that we get the player looks at the world. As a result of the player looking at the world, we get back a description. Presumably, so if we look at player. Looks at the world, it pulls out all of this stuff, and then so let's go back to the original sentence that I started a little while ago, which is like when we run through this, go back to here, we sort of process the command, and then the output is the result of the player looking at the world, and so in terms of the event. Like there's a question of like at what point it would happen. I mean, it almost seems like one. Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say I think it would be a different function definition that took an event.
Sure. Oh, and I think that's what I was just thinking as well. Is that there's like this by itself is kind of like a nice thing of its own. That's kind of like there. It's almost there's almost room for an additional step here, which is okay. Have any events occurred? Let's do the output of those there. Then and they get appended on.
Definitely. Yeah, and I'm not married to this existing implementation either, right? It's just I needed to get it working.
No. Well, and you've got the basic game working. I mean, it's I don't know that it's necessarily hugely relevant. I mean, I was on that subject of what's it called? The different.
Sam
again. So I speak Japanese. Yes, I lived in Japan for 7 years, and I speak only Japanese to my 3 boys.
I love it.
I kind of trying to. I mean, I'm still, there's so many different levels of fluent. I mean, I still struggle understanding what my father-in-law is saying, but my wife's Japanese. You might be interested possibly in this. I have a repo up. This was a tech test that I did recently, and this is for tic-tac-toe played on the command line.
Oh, this was for the interview.
Yeah, for Future Learn there, and it kind of I've got it set up. I've got this all set up with I've got acceptance tests that play. The full game kind of, and I've got a game loop in there, but I still wasn't satisfied with see, I've got like a little loop in here, but this is not. It's not really tested at quite that. I've got all of the acceptance tests doing stubbing and mocking standard As in the feature test, so like here they're doing all this stuff with, you know, what, like they're actually testing the full standard in, standard out loop, you know, and what's coming back there. It's like sort of, but anyway.
Well, I want to take a look at this.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's interesting in our spec, just trying to achieve that level of wrapping, and you can do it on like sort of a you know, I end up having this method of like being able to take a turn, which I can then check the kind of input and output. But actually, to get that whole game sequence, you then end up like you can't, the RSpec output ends up being broken. So it's interesting another level. Anyway, Ryder, it's been great fun checking out this game. I think we've got a clear next step if we were going to carry on with this, which is to like maybe get the event thing up and running, and you know, maybe drive that even with some event tests.
Yeah, definitely.
Good stuff.
Yeah, no, that would be the ideal. You know, I've like with the interface, I fell into this bad habit of not writing the test first because I wasn't sure how to test it, and I'd like to, you know, break out of that.
Yeah, well, and it's fun. It's fun doing it in a new environment and solving problems there. I'm definitely enjoying the Elixir language. I mean, in the longer term, what I'm excited about is some sort of framework that would be, you know, highly performant and scalable, and allow loads of people to come, like I mentioned before, like if like you're playing Overwatch or what have you, and you kind of
right, like a MUD.
Right, and you would you know, but you sort of come on and you could you know, one this text adventure, which would be a MUD, but I'm thinking of like people coming in and pairing, like just rather than it being this slow process of like, oh, are you free, and working out next Thursday and Thursday, I'm going to be pairing from some guy with from New Zealand tomorrow on a Carter and this other, and it like there's this Rails link thing, and it's got like 5,000 people in it, and it just seems to me like you could have this kind of setup where, you know,
oh, so you like Overwatch, you mean like lobbies, pairing lobbies, and you just get on and
exactly, you just come on and they'd basically be like any programming language that you wanted, and you just say like, and it would be like waiting, I'm looking for someone to pair with Elixir, boom, 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 and and it could be pairs and mobs, right? You could be like, oh, we want to do a 4-person mob, you know, and find me 4 people who are into Elixir, let's go.
That's brilliant.
You know what I mean?
Brilliant. This doesn't even exist.
No, but it should do, right? It should exist.
Good. Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's
But
brilliant.
are there enough people that are actually interested in pairing?
Well, I think that's what we've often struggled with in AgileVentures, is the number of people that we've managed to. I mean, there's been time where we've managed on-time pair hookups. It would need. I think the critical thing is what it would need is it would need an interface that is kind of as slick, almost as slick as the lobbies for these AAA games, right?
Oh yeah.
So you're just, you know, you're doing it, whatever. I mean, in AgileVentures, we've been all about, you know, like recording it and broadcasting it, which of course I think puts most people off.
Because I want to just cut it very briefly. Michael, I don't want to have you the sense that Sam's ignoring your question. We're not ignoring your question, but there is a little bit this chicken egg thing of like, you know, you need users to get users. So having an attractive, polished, easy to use.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that I think, you know, that what we found over the last few years is that there probably isn't, you know, just, but I think if you could have enough people getting excited about the experience and have it going on, then the excitement of the people, and they'd be telling them, oh, you've got to come and try this pairing, whatever it is we're calling it, thing, and it would, you know, if it could achieve the critical mass, and if you had, I mean, there are these other like Twitch TV and so on, whatever, and you can kind of like, there seems to be almost more critical mass for people just sort of watching a few other people doing pairing tests. Maybe people are going to always be so afraid about like having a detailed real-time interaction with a stranger that it could never quite take off to the level that Overwatch or Splatoon or these other things do. But, you know, if you could make it slick enough, smooth enough, you know, and you would basically have this like wall of like little video screens of like, you could just sort of browse. Oh, here's some guys doing Elixir, here's some guys doing Phoenix, here's some guys doing Elm, here's some guys.
I agree 100%. And you could potentially integrate with Twitch, right? Where somebody's live streaming, you know, and they could decide, I want to accept pairs or not. And then somebody was like, oh, I want to pair with this guy, and you're streaming, and they just click the button, it goes out to our service, and
Right. Yeah. Totally. And there's this thing that we did start looking to get set up with, which is called, I think, Restream.io. Here we go.
I gotta get to work soon, and I gotta let you eat lunch.
Yeah, that's totally. But yeah, cool. Well, we'll keep talking. Yeah, we're on the Slack and so on. It's been fun pairing with you today, Ryder. We'll work something out very soon.
Yeah, awesome. See you soon.
All right, bye for now. Take care.